Welcome to another episode of Sawdust Nation Podcast. It's the 153rd episode. Man, we're getting up there in the numbers with your host, Nick from MPG Creations, Nap from Nap Snotty Works LLC, and myself, Josh from North Country Woodworking. Well, we got a pretty interesting episode, at least on my half, when it comes to the shop talk. But we're going to start off with what's happening in Naps.
It almost feels like nothing's changed since last episode, but in fact, a lot really has, because the jobs just seem to start to flow a lot more. It's promotion season. A bunch of people are leaving. A bunch of people are getting out, whatever the case may be. I was fortunate enough to have 2 employees in the shop. Not really employees per se. I called them the foreman and the supervisor. So if you guys know anything about a foreman or a supervisor, they typically watch and go, hey, you should do it this way. Hey, this might be better. So my grandparents and my parents came into town for Memorial Day weekend. And while the ladies were doing their things with the grandson, me, my dad, and grandfather, we were all in the shop. And I was in the middle of my shadow box build while I was out there. So they were trying to help, and they did help in some ways, and in others, I was trying my best to not get a little upset, at least for certain things. But I did appreciate the help because I did learn a couple things and maybe some process improvements, if you will. But so I finished that one Master and Chevron shadow box. It is sitting up on the shelf up there now. That's going to go out tomorrow, maybe Wednesday. It just has to get there before the 9th of June. So as long as I ship it, by tomorrow or Wednesday, it should be fine. I got another order for the knife plaque. So, I've made 2 of those now. Well, now I'm on my 3rd, which is pretty cool. It's been a repeat offender, if you will, and didn't think it would be, but the one-off turned into multiple jobs, which is nice. I did finish that, we'll call it replica, B11 bomb shackle, which is like what bombs go on for the bomber. Inside what's called a cluster bomb rack. I finished that replica plaque for my boss, who is promoted and is on his way out the door to another base. So that one got done last week. I finished a PCA gift for one of the troops, one of the airmen, that went on over to the flight line for back shop. So that's done. I finished a couple of odds and ends jobs. I actually did 3 desk nameplate deals for my grandfather. He asked if I could do it while he was here, and I was like, yeah, sure. I mean, it ain't really nothing but a thing. So I ended up actually combining some walnut and oak scraps and making some nameplates for my grandpa. And he was kind of in awe, because he was like, "You did it so fast." And I was like, "Well, yeah, because this stuff it's not that difficult. Glue a piece of wood together, square it up, make the angle that you want. The hardest part was setting it up on the laser, getting it to be level, straight, and everything, and then doing the frame like 70 times just to get it to show me where it was going to be. See what else, and then I learned something while making my shadow boxes. So I'm okay with angles, okay, but there was something that it happens actually it's happened on a couple of my shadow boxes, and honestly, I don't know why I didn't think of it before, but I kind of scratched my head a couple times while making it. Was when you go to attach the flag portion of the box. Mm-hmm. So, you make that triangular portion at the top, and then you got your legs and the bottom half or bottom portion. Well, when you make a 45-degree angle, you're obviously going to have, that it's very narrow. You get a very narrow cavity. Well, I ended up learning from my grandfather on how to widen the angle to make the legs kick out more, mm-hmm. but then also do the opposite angle to make it straight. So how we learned about the opposite angle to keep it straight was after we made the other angle to widen it out, we forgot to do that. So after I glued it all up, I'm like, why are the legs? So it was like this, and the legs are like this. I'm like, yo, this makes no sense. Why is this even doing this right now? And I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, oh no. So I had it was like,
what degree angle did you make your tip?
43 degrees.
43. Okay, I use 33. It kicks out a little bit more.
So 43, when you go both sides, it kicks out quite a bit, in fact. But then you have to do the opposite angle, which is 48. Mm-hmm. So that way it comes straight down. So after putting...
Sorry, I don't mean to take your story, but I use a 33 to, I think it's a 34 to 22, and then the 45s in the end. And it comes out so it's you got a nice little angle and a nice wide body. A little bit more math, a little bit more on the table saw, but it works well.
I'll have to see what you're talking about. I might have to draw that out for me. I'm a visual person.
I use 22 and a half.
Right. He's talking about like an actual flag box angles.
Oh,
So like,
yeah.
that's when you make the 22 and a half to get the 45 degree angle or whatever.
Yeah, I'm talking about shadow box.
Right. So on the shadow box, you have to make that point at the top.
Yeah.
Well, that point at the top, it just made the body too narrow. Well, we ended up finally getting the math down, 43 and 48. Kicked it down. It actually widened it out perfect to where I needed it to be. So it's in the old toolbox now. So that way I have it for future shadow boxes for when I go to make those. So then we ended up finishing that up, getting the frame put together. They watched me do all the things. And then I don't know why I spaced this in the past, but Josh mentioned this a long time ago, and I don't know why I spaced. But he used the UV the UV resin that Totalboat has. And the UV stuff is really good for putting plexiglass in the cavity for your shadow boxes. So I put a bunch of that in there, used as a UV light. Not even, I think it was about 15 minutes, we'll call it total, of me going all around it or whatever, instead of waiting 3 hours for the plexiglass to cure with regular like Gorilla Glue. So doing that from now on, because that sped the process up a lot. And then I did that foam board again for my backer. That foam stuff, honestly, it's perfect.
Where'd you get that again?
I got it at Joann's, but I think you can get really at any craft store. It's just a thicker, I forget what kind of foam it is a particular type, but it's cushy, kind of like cork. But it's a little more malleable when it comes to when you're pushing the backer into the shadow box.
Mm-hmm.
So like if you're off by a little bit, it'll squeeze its way in there. It'll be a little bit of tighter fit. But
how's the hold for pins?
Good. I mean, typically when you push it in, I still put a little glue on the back or hot glue just to make sure, but holds great. Matter of fact, there was 2 pins I didn't put glue on the last shadow box, and they stayed in just fine. So,
why did you switch?
Because the cork board that we go to look for is no longer available at many Walmart stores and other places. So, at least in the size that I need. So I swapped to that because they make it in 48 by 24 sheets. So I can get 2 shadow boxes out of it. But also something that Jason had mentioned to me, and then again, it came up again, was that cork under laminate for flooring. So you can buy that at Home Depot, but they also showed me a website. It's I'd have to look it up on my phone. I'll get back to it. But there's an actual store that'll sell you like sheets of cork that are already made, but they're for flooring, but you can use them for the purpose of the shadow boxes. And it's actually relatively cheap, and you get pretty big sheets of it. So I'll get that website because my grandpa ended up sending it to me when they left one.
That'd be cool because, like, if you do what we're doing here with the shadow boxes, personally, I know if I make a Master Sergeant, it's going to be the same size. So I can go ahead and cut that out and have a stack of those ready to go versus, buying a sheet, having to get – that'd be awesome, man.
Yeah, so I'll find that. Let's see, hang on. Might be able to just find it now. I'm not really sure because they. I'll find it here when you guys are talking, so I don't waste time. But yeah, so I ended up doing that, and then everything went together. I had a maker reach out to me and say, "Hey, could you take like more like detailed pictures and send them to me so I can kind of see what it is, like how I put it together?" And it's a maker in our maker chat, so okay. I'm okay, with doing that. But at the same time, again, shadow boxes are not a new thing. So even if anybody else had asked me, whatever, you still have to do the work. You still have to, fabricate it yourself. Which again, there's a market for that everywhere, and there's more than enough to go around. So I really don't care if I share that stuff. So that's that. Let's see what else. I got a 24 by 24 acrylic sign I'm going to make. It's going to have that wood backer. I'm actually looking for 1/4 inch black shiny acrylic because I'm going to be painting the back of the clear acrylic I have for the other pieces, and then the 1/4 inch will stick out instead of layering it. Just because layering it's cool and everything, but if you mess up layering that, it's a pain in the butt to peel apart, and 2, it can look like absolute trash if you just try to leave it. So I'm just going to get 1/4 inch, That'll be like the stencil or the frame, and then I can put all the pieces in there, and it should come out pretty good. It's going to be the 23rd Bomber Squadron patch, so it's going to be a relatively big acrylic job, which is cool. It's better than having like those tiny pieces that I've done with the pennants. I don't have to sit there and like carefully poke out little pieces, try not to break the frame of the Eagle or anything like that. So there's that. I made a couple odds and end plaques, one of which is right here. So these become pretty popular in the ammo world because ammo loves their piss pot. That's what they call this. But I've been able to make a bunch of these lately, and they've been pretty good sellers. So I'll keep making those all day, every day, because guess what? Those are easy. And I love the easy jobs. Easy jobs are money in the bank. I almost done with this hat press. I mean, it is done. The only thing I have to do left is get the hinge. The hinges are on the way from Amazon. And, what size do I need? I'll talk to you offline on that. Well, Jason's got a lead on some acrylic as well, which is pretty awesome. But yes, so I was going to do, what the hell was I talking about?
You were talking about hinges, Amazon.
Oh, hinges, yes. So a lot of hinges that they sell in like the big box stores, they don't have black. And black is the hardware color that they wanted. And I've gotten like the longer ones and I've cut it off and all this stuff, but it's kind of a pain in the ass.
Lowe's has black.
And a pain in the rear.
Lowe's. If you have a Lowe's near you, they have black.
Yeah, that's in Bismarck. And they're also 18 inches, and I had to cut it down. So
I use a piano?
Yeah.
Okay.
So the piano hinge I got from Amazon, I got 4 pack of 12-inch black piano hinges. So those will be nicer anyway, so I don't have to cut them, and they won't get all wonky on me. So waiting for those to come in to officially finish that. I did end up scoring that job with that business for the monthlies, quarterlies, and annuals. So I will have constant revenue monthly for those. So that'll be cool. Well, if it takes off, I could do it for all their branches or all their regions, which would be pretty cool. This is just for one specific region at the moment. So hopefully it takes off and I can do it for multiple regions and, not have to take on a bunch of jobs all the time. Jason, shut up about Etsy. Well, I'm not going to even get into that.
Oh, no. You can't bypass.
Oh no,
that.
I shut it down.
What?
It's dude, what the hell is that, a cat? I have a cat. I'm over here with my feet around my cat sitting and everything. What is this squishy fur? I'm like, oh, it's my cat. But no, it just, I got one email and I missed it, and in 3 months I got one tag, and minus a couple I had right out of the gate from people I know. It's just like, okay, I've been getting more from word of mouth, and I'm getting pretty busy on base with jobs, so I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing with that. It's just, I don't know, it just operates better for me. And then I got one other gift I'm making, but I'm still talking to the customer about it because it's a lot of dead space in the project, and I don't necessarily like the way that's going to look. So I'm trying to convince him to do something maybe a little different. Probably not going to be able to convince him, but we'll figure it out. And so we didn't talk about this last time, but my cat got out. Actually, it was the day after the podcast. He was gone for like a week, and then someone found him. He was at the pound, and I ended up picking him up today. So reunited with one of my fluff balls that was decided to take a trip. So that's all like the projects that are going on in the shop. Very busy. I took 2 days of leave after the 4-day weekend because I went from doing 2 events last Thursday on base to, hey, my family's in town, to, okay, I need like 2 days to just have on my own. So that's what I've got going on now. Got some stuff done today. Not as much as I would have liked to, but it's because I did a lot of running around. But tomorrow will be all steam ahead, getting as much done as I can, at least in a free day that I have. So, and I do have the promotion release plaques that I'm doing. Yeah, I'm a little peeved about that one because they gave me their budget. And I was like, you do know you're only going to get something that's like the size of your hand, right? Because I'm sorry, but at least the initial budget was $12 a piece. And I was like, you're not going to get a whole lot for that.
That's kind of what I had to do. It sucks, but it is what it is.
Yeah. I mean, like, at some point, you got to. I would think you at least have to take the job and give them what they pay for.
Yeah, and no,
just so you can
I will.
More. Yeah.
But at the same time, he told me that, hey, we might get a little more money, so I'll give you a final budget after the fact. Because it's 56 of them, I think, is what I'm making.
Oh,
but if they're small, I'd rather them be small anyways. But I mean, that's still a good dollar amount for 12. If it was 12 a piece, and they would just get something small engraved, that's fine. But that's what I've relayed to the customer. I was like, hey, if you want something nice, man, it's going to be a little bit more than $12 a piece, and that's high end from the range he gave me. So we'll see what happens with that. But yeah, so that's going on in the shop. Just a lot of projects, a lot of jobs. It's finally picking up, and I'm happy about it. But I am more busy, and just gotta prioritize my time well. So, but yeah, that's what's going on. So Nick, man, what you got going on? I see you moved the old was it the Beat Laboratory downstairs there?
Yeah, man, it's in my living room now. I have no furniture, so I'm in a lawn chair. I moved everything downstairs, so I don't have to run upstairs to go do edits on projects. I have all my design features and like my printers, my label makers, everything is downstairs now. The desk is sitting on 2 whiskey barrels, so it's like a desktop on 2 whiskey barrels. It's pretty freaking cool. I need to get so the old TV I had up there is kind of, it shit the bed, or it stopped working. So I just need to get a smaller monitor for above me so I can play some pornography or really anything, so I can play movies and stuff like that in the living room. And yeah, you're looking at it, so I'll move my camera around. All right, so there's the back door, my dog bed, there's my liquor, and the kitchen. That's the TV. And right over there, or my messy kitchen, but right over there is where I have, in my dining room, is my assembly area where I do all of my, like, what do you call it? I put on French cleats. I'll finish with oil and stuff in there. I don't have to worry about dust from the shop. It's so, like, I should have done this a long time ago. And if I have a project that, like, I want to test a prototype out, when I'm done, I just hang it on the wall in here. So I have a bunch of plaques hanging on the wall, so she's ready to buy. Other than that, though, I have been jobbing. I've been trying to catch up. I'm almost there to being caught up. But that's my dog behind me. He's a douche. This weekend I did a lot of projects, though. I just made an Army Adjutant General's logo. It's on my Instagram, along with a bunch of other just normal plaques that I normally do that I'm just not going to post up there because it's nothing new. It'd be the same old stuff every time. So you can see my acrylic sheets behind me. I'm running low. I need to place another order through makerstock.com. But yeah, that's where I'm at, man. Oh, at one point in time, it was like last week before I had all those hat boards and guide-on pennant holders due. I had lumber stacked behind me. I had a bunch of lumber stacked behind me, and I ended up using it all. So, yeah, that's about it. My shop's a mess. I'm getting an employee too, so it's in the works.
Nice. Someone you work with, someone who's his hobby, full time.
Yeah, it's so somebody I work with who wants to get into it. So I'm just gonna pay him to do stuff around the shop, like clean up and put stuff away, and then move him in to start training him on CNC, and then start training him on laser, and then let him run jobs. And as long as he's here, I'm fine with him running the job.
Yeah.
I don't want him to like set it and forget it and like bounce out. But I had the power go out last night. My CNC was running. That was interesting. That was really interesting.
How'd that work?
So everything stopped except the router. The router kept going because it's on a backup power supply. So I caught it, shut everything down. I couldn't run or the Z-axis up and down. So what I had to do was I had to take the bit and loosen the collet, and then like shove the bit all the way up inside, pull the collet off, and then let the bit come out and pull to the side because I couldn't even get the piece out because it was like in a what do you call it? The bit was actually in a mortise when it stopped moving. So and then I was like, my zero is gone. My job is totally jacked now. So I cut it out with the bandsaw. I just cut the shape out with the bandsaw. It worked. It actually did a really nice job too, considering that blade's for resaw. But it did a really nice job. It was mostly straight lines though.
I typically, unless I'm doing really fine work, I don't go all the way with the bits with the CNC. I'll go a certain amount and either do it with the router table or the bandsaw.
Yeah,
it saves a little bit of time.
Yeah. Anyway, that's it. That's all I got going on. What about you?
Well, a lot going on here. So let's start off with the promise of the tail of the thumb. So last episode, I gave a little hint that I stabbed myself with a knife, and that's pretty much what happened. I was doing a shadow box. I haven't posted yet. I'm kind of saving content. That way I could post still when I'm gone. But long story short, I was doing something stupid. I knew I was doing something stupid and tried to prevent the outcome that happened anyway. And the knife slipped and caught my thumb. I've got 12 stitches and actually getting those out tomorrow, hopefully. So seeing the hand surgeon, doc wanted me to go see. I could still move my thumb just fine. There it is for the Patreons. It's lovely. If you're part of the Maker Chat, you got to see the whole 9 yards. It sucked. But it was one of those things where you did something stupid and the consequences are there painfully. And I tell you, not having a thumb on one hand, I have all the appreciation in the world for thumbs now. I called it my claw because I could only really just grab things with my 4 fingers. And that's a pain. If you ever lose your thumb or have a cast, whatever, and you've been through that, then So, don't be me. Be smarter. So there's that. Ooh, that looks good. What is that? And this is food talk.
I got food.
Nice. We're sitting here, I'm talking, and all of a sudden, Nap shows us a plate of goodness. Anyway, going back to the tail here. Do something stupid. Don't do that. Think it through. If it feels stupid, it probably is stupid. And stop before you get hurt because I did not. Moving on, had some Amazon issues. Got pretty peeved on that one. I ordered something. It said it was Prime. I was going to get it 2 days, according to Prime. And I got it today. I ordered this last week. And I asked for a refund. They said I could keep it if it gets delivered. And I'm still waiting for the refund and hoping that I don't have to send the item back. If I do, I do. Not going to hurt my feelings. I'm actually on going around to the stores and anything I haven't used, trying to get the money back for so I don't have to move it. So I got some hardware from Rockler, stuff like that. Nothing too huge. So
you drove all the way to Rockler to do that?
Yeah. Why would I not? I get to go there and go.
You could have just
use that money I just got to buy something else.
You're gonna spend more money.
Yeah, I know. It's fun.
I was saying you're gonna spend more money when you go.
When I go to Rockler, it's equivalent of my kids going to a toy store. Man, I literally could sit there and walk through the aisles like 10, 15 times and stare at the same stuff, and I could sit there all day. Like if they offered me coffee and like maybe a snack, I'd be in heaven. So.
I mean, they could very well.
They could.
You set it up.
I'm telling you, if they do, never see me again. So along with that, I did want to mention something about the laser because Nap was talking about alignment and stuff like that. So I don't know if this is probably not new for anyone, but for alignment, I don't use a level or a square anymore. I actually use the laser. So what I do is I take the laser pointer to the edge of the piece, the corner, and then I push the arrow to the other edge and I align it with that laser, and it usually lines it up perfectly square to the actual gantry, and I can do that same thing for both X and Y. And it's been working out great. And I usually start off in the center of the piece if I need it in the center. After that, I know it's square, and I already have the center marking, and I just go. And I tell you, it's saving me a lot of setup time. So if you're not doing that, I suggest it. Give it a go and see what happens for you. But it definitely has saved time in the multiple laser engravings I've done over the course of the week. Moving on from that, let's see here. What else do I want to go down? So I just completed my first retirement trunk or chest, depending on how you want to, describe it. This thing was 40 inches by 20 inches by 20 inches. And it was heavy. Yeah. And it's all walnut. There was not anything but walnut and acrylic in there. A little bit of leather because I use leather for the handles. So every side was engraved, all four sides. The lid was engraved. The coin rack is engraved. I did 2 flag shadow box in there, another shadow box. And I actually did it so the bottom shadow box lengthwise would hit the sides on some cleats, but it was narrow enough so that I can, with the top 2 pieces removed, they could remove it. So it wasn't as wide as the shadow box. And then the top pieces were sitting at cleats, but they were sitting on the wide section. So they were as wide as the box, but not as long. So like the way the cleat system worked, the two, they never touched, and I didn't have to worry about any kind of scratching or anything like that. And the system proved to be actually worked really well. I did, 4 or 5 uniforms in the lid, all pinned in there. And so the lid was already engraved, and I had to create these uniforms on some pin board. And basically I sat there and it was like an hour and a half, 2 hours. I'm pinning these uniforms, getting them nice and crease free, cutting, making them look nice. And like I've already glued the pin board to the lid. I made sure it was in the right direction, and I messed it up. I fucked it up. So I went to go put it onto the actual case, and up was up both directions on both sides. But when the lid is down and it's the right way, it needs to be the opposite direction. So it faces up when you go like this and you see the uniforms. So I had to remove the entire pin board with the uniform still attached, which I had to do some rework with that. But I actually found a better system that worked better and allowed for the uniforms to be closer to the acrylic and making it look more professional. So in the long run, my mistake led to a better outcome. I cannot say that was intentional. All I can say is sometimes mistakes happen and you just got to roll with the punches. I was pretty upset, not going to lie. I almost lost my cool there for a couple times during this project. Like I tried to match grain, obviously, and I did something that I typically don't do. As for the lid, I actually cut the pieces before I put them together. So I had the lid pieces and the chest pieces, and it was very important to me that I matched those pieces to the sides that they were supposed to be on. So I had it all glued together, the acrylic in there and everything else. I put the lid on to make sure it was appropriate. And for whatever reason, I had a moment where the grain didn't seem to match on the 2 sides. So I ended up taking off the sides and finding my reference marks and realizing I was correct. But now I had to piece everything together. The glue was already starting to dry. And I just it was one of those moments where my poor wife, came home with the kids after going, I think, to bowling alley with them. And they're like, wanting to tell me all about it. And I just look at them like, I can't be a husband. I cannot be a dad right now. I am completely at the point where I just need to be left alone and get this one part done. And once I was done, I went inside, listened to the stories. But it was just that moment where I recognized, I wanted to just burn it all. So that was my moment during the building of this trunk. Some lessons were learned, some things I'll definitely do again, the things I won't. Some hardware that I will definitely be buying again, and hardware I definitely will not. The overall theme, they wanted bronze hardware, and everything that I bought that was bronze I thought was heavy duty. It's not made for a trunk of that size. And unfortunately, I talked to them. They were okay with it. I did go with black because I could find heavy duty black hardware that worked well. But since it was so big, I needed really functional hardware. And I didn't want to go ahead and put, stuff that's made for jewelry boxes or smaller trunks and then have issues later. So that was about the only difference in what they wanted that I changed on this box. Other than that, they loved it. It takes 2 people to lift. You just can't do it by yourself. It's just so heavy. Again, there are some things I can cut back on weight with that, but live and learn. I'll definitely do some things a little bit different. But yeah, that was all pure walnut. Everything on that thing was just all walnut. So, Jason, that was for you. I had a lot of scraps I had to burn. Adding fuel to the fire. Let's see. Then that was a local pickup, which is nice. So I got to see reactions and whatnot. But other than that, I had one more plaque to do. So after this trunk was gone, I had someone that was supposed to deliver a knife for me, and I was supposed to another knife, do a plaque. And unfortunately, the guy messaged me. It was supposed to be delivered today. He messaged me today and goes, "Look, if you haven't started on the plaque, I have an idea for something a little bit bigger, something I really would like happen." And I'm like, "Okay. You got to call me so we can talk this over." He goes, "I don't care if it's, due in a couple months, whatever, or you have to ship it. This is kind of how I want it." So I do have a job when I set up my shop in Scott Air Force Base. I'll be shipping something back to McGuire. I don't know if that's a good or bad thing. I'm kind of on the fence about it. I almost told him, "No, I'm going to do what you paid for, and that's it." But he wants to pay more for it, an appropriate amount for the plaque and stuff he wants. And it'll get me to do some woodworking when I get there. So there's that. I was kind of hoping to knock everything out to have a clean slate, but sometimes life throws you a curveball here and there. And then looking at my list, the shop is now turned into a garage. I officially cleaned everything up, and basically there's boxes in there now. There's things we're trying to get rid of. It's slowly being taken over by the house and making me ever more sad to see. But I mean, I'm not going to see a majority of that because I'll be leaving on the 1st, which is in a few days, or the day that you're listening to this if you're not a Patreon. So at that point in time, I'll be making my way to Texas to see Nick and start learning the new job and making that happen. So a lot going on. I didn't think I would have much to report this week, but come to find out, I actually, this week, even though I've been on leave, has been crazy. That trunk build was challenging. Definitely push a couple limits and buttons. And then with, tidying up the shop for the last time, realizing that that was the last project I'll be building in there. Well, kind of. I have one more going that I might finish before I leave. It's personal. But yeah, all in all, been doing a lot of filming, a lot of little things. Hopefully I'll be still entertaining people when I am gone at school. That way, I haven't been posting much because of that. I have a lot of back footage, like that sign that I posted today. I did that a while ago, probably last month. And I still have to post, I believe, the Master Sergeant promotion gifts, which I did a long time ago, too. So I have a lot of back footage, hopefully enough to last me this entire trip. And then I can just go into Nick's place and pretend I'm working. Now, he has an employee. I just have to sit there and I'll drink beer and watch him. You're doing that wrong.
There's a word for that. Foreman.
Josh is actually going to come and calibrate all my machinery and finish putting my
Yeah, I could calibrate it, but once you run it the way you do, it ain't going to last.
No, I'm talking like, I need you to square up my fence on my table saw, man.
That's a good lesson for your new employee to learn, because if he wants to get into it, he's going to have to learn how to do that. I will set up your Avid though, so I can at least watch it work for the first time. But that's what's going on in my shop garage, because right now it's half shop and half garage. I didn't get done as much as I want to as far as packing in there. Not really anything. Went through a lot of the drawers, got rid of a lot of garbage and stuff like that. Things I won't take. But I wanted to take down the CNC station and stuff like that, and I just didn't get around to it. Tomorrow, my last day here, that would be the 31st. I'll be spending with the family. I'll be going to the hand surgeon, getting the stitches removed, and then essentially going to the Philly Zoo and doing that with the kids. And the first, I'm taking Noah to class, and that'll be our goodbyes, and leaving shortly after that. So yeah, it's definitely been a week so far. Oh, I had to go on away at work too. I will have to say it was probably the best one I've ever had. Tons of gifts, a lot of great stuff said, pizza, soda. And then they got me a bunch of safety gear. So I got my wand here. Got a vest back here. It says Sergeant Safety on it. And they made me a plaque, which I've been making plaques for the entire shop since I've been there. It's been a while. And I don't know where it is. It's back here. But, they don't have the equipment and know-how I do. It's the fact that they took the time to put it together that meant a lot. So it's great. Like, I had a great time today. I'm not big for going away. I usually just kind of, dip out. And then, someone finally asks, what happened. But it was good. So. Oh, no, Heather, you will not touch the CNC station. I love you dearly, but please don't touch.
So while you were talking, Josh, I was able to find that site.
Which one?
It's corkdirect.com.
Oh, that's appropriate.
And it sells cork sheet underlayment, which is just the stuff for like floors and stuff.
Yeah.
They sell it in bulk. So 10 sheets of it of 1/4 inch cork board that's 24 by 36 is $79.
1/4 inch?
Yeah.
Damn, that's a lot. You take it away. I would have to up my
1/4 inch ain't that.
No, 1/4 inch is not as big as you think it is, man.
I know how big a 1/4 inch is.
That's Josh overestimating again.
So I mean, I have.
I swear.
So now I'll keep it for another tip. I have a video that I'll be posting, or Nap will be posting. That's tip of the day that hits on a method I use for my dado stack and shadow boxes and stuff like that. So another day.
And real quick. So go ahead.
Sorry, I have a lot to say. I was excited to get on the podcast today just because there's so much going on, and I went from this last episode being well, not gonna have much, to having a lot. So, but yeah, that's the shop, and go ahead.
It was the same for the tip of the week. I know last week I was supposed to post one from Nick. I will say that, not that I fell behind, but I had a lot going on, so I just didn't get around to putting it up. But it will be released here this week for last week's tip of the week, and then we'll have another one that obviously follow. So it'll kind of be like a episode behind type deal for those folks that are listening to the podcast. So apologies, but real life comes first. So
well, unfortunately, we didn't get the last tip. I'm gonna give you a tip for this week. If you guys are ready, I'll go ahead and dive into that, or do you guys want to talk something else real quick?
No, go ahead, dive into it, and then we can talk more on that.
The tip.
Okay, I'm gonna show you a tip. Okay, what screen do I want you guys to see? Let's talk about a little feature that I learned about recently. Now, this is an engraving I usually do for my coin holders. It's in this shape. This is a United States enlisted flyer wings, R7 level. I did one of these recently, and I was watching something, and someone came up and they showed me a small tip. And basically, there's a preview button up here. So I'm going to go ahead and click that now. And what this does is does a couple things. It kind of shows you what it's going to look like in the final product. Is it always accurate? Depends. When you start doing some pictures and stuff and engraving like that, it can be hit or miss, I find. Not 100% accurate, but for engravings, increase the time depending what you're looking for. But hopefully that little tip will help someone out there. The power interruption might be one of those things where, like our particular laser, it will start where it left off. It's going to do its homing function and then go back where it was. So as long as if you didn't touch anything, and like you could essentially go back, push start here, and complete that engraving instead of having to start all over and ruining a piece. So there's a lot of little functions. Yeah, I was too. Don't worry. When I saw that, I'm like, yeah, no. How did I not know this? So I'm hoping that saves you guys time out there and maybe saves a project or some material. That is.
Well, shoot. Let's take this another level real quick. So on that, where Josh had everything blue, that was his color of choice, if you will. You could almost go back and make different layers. And let's say like the center wreath didn't cut well, and you can make it red. You could literally output just the red and then do the time lapse and start it wherever it might be uneven. Like that's, man, I'm pretty mad right now because there's so many jobs
there's so many different ways you can utilize this preview function and start here that it is.
So you can change layers in a piece that's already underway.
Yeah, you can.
I mean, I haven't tried it, but in theory, it should work because it's going to send basically the G code again, and it's going to start in that position.
Yeah, as long as you didn't move the piece.
Yep. Obviously, there's things I like that particular question I haven't attempted yet, but I assume, which is dangerous, that it should work in that manner. Yes.
Another good like tip or something like that. Not just that, but when Nick was talking about how he lost power. So I do this now because I had an instance where my power went out. It was actually during snowpocalypse, Nick, if you remember, in Texas, where everyone was losing their mind and it killed the Texas grid. Remember that. So I was running my CNC jobs and power went out, and I was like, "What the hell?" So I ended up taking down my absolute coordinates because I didn't move the piece off of there. But the next time I ran it, I took the 0 coordinates, I wrote them down. So if I think his power could go out, which Nick, in your case, you probably wouldn't have known because if it just happened, it happened. But if like bad weather's coming through and you have like a shoddy power grid, kind of like Texas seems to at random times, you'll be able to go back and redo your 0 because you can set an offset or jog your machine to that 0 and then start it from there. The only thing that might not be there is your Z, depending on what Z axis you have.
So I try not to run my laser or CNC in bad weather. Story time. So when I first got my diode laser, I was doing a 14-hour laser job on that thing. Honestly, all it was my logo, and it was like, I don't know, it was like 20 inches. And halfway through, this diode, man. I mean, like that's just the way it is. Halfway through, we lost power. I went through the G code and found where a roundabout, like I was off by a couple lines, but roundabout area, and was able to go ahead and start it from that location and that point. But I was like halfway. I was 7 hours in when that happened. I like. If it's due the next day, I might risk it for the biscuit. But if I don't have to, that stuff ain't turning on. I'm not touching it. I don't want. There's very few times nowadays where I get really upset in the shop. Most times I could laugh it off or be like, "Oh, I could fix that real quick. It's not a big deal." But yeah, that would hit a button.
No, I hear you, man.
Yeah, especially you just dealt with it.
Definitely something that. Well, I have manual procedures that I can run if I have to. So if it's not like if the majority of the project is done and I'm just cutting it out.
Yeah, I think you were lucky that you were in that.
As long as like the first two passes have been done and it's deep enough to where I could put a flush trim bit on it, or if I could run it against the bandsaw, and get it real close, and then sand it down to the lines, and I'm fine. It's just an ass pain. That was so I started that job earlier in the day, and I had to spray paint a piece in order to put it on the CNC machine, because I had like raised letters that were black, and then the wood that was getting carved out was wood grain. And I started the job before I even realized that the first time I started the job, before I even realized that it wasn't the right size. Like the image wasn't the right size. And yeah. So I was like, fudge, man, so I was like, whatever, I'll just go cut another piece of cherry off the plank and cut it to length, get it primed up. Well, I had to sand it and then paint it. I'll sand it, clear coat it, then paint it, and wait for that to dry. And I waited a couple hours for that, so there wouldn't be any issues with the sawdust sticking in the paint.
Jason has a question for you, Nick. He's asking, why do you have the router and backup power, but not the CNC?
Because the power, the power thing I have, I just have them plugged into different ports on the what's it called? It wouldn't have mattered. It wouldn't have lasted that long. But
is that a battery backup from work?
No, it's the same style though. It's a battery backup so I wanted it to where if the CNC cuts out, well, if I would have left it so that the CNC was on battery backup and then the router wasn't, it was going to drag bits if the power goes out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it makes sense.
I would have put both. Like, honestly, I would put both of them on there if I could. But the battery, it's only going to power that one, the one or the other, not both. The particular battery I have.
Yeah, that's one of my biggest fears of bad weather. I hate being in this. I love it when it's storming out and I'm in the shop putting things together, cleaning the shop, what have you. But when it runs a job that I know that like I call them like you push the button, that's it. Like you're fully committed. Much like that trunk, there was a lot of walnut, very expensive walnut, a lot of figure and a lot of those pieces. If that messed up, like that's a lot of money out of my pocket. Yeah, pretty much. Like that trunk was not cheap. Like, and I honestly, it should have been more because I didn't make that much profit off it, but it was my first one. Lessons were learned, but
dude, I hear you on that, man. There's been a couple times in the past few weeks that I've had to overnight stuff. So you're not making anything off that. Yeah. It's just fulfilling the contract. You know what I mean? Just to get it out of the way.
Sometimes you have to though. Like that's half the game, right? Is like sometimes you're not going to make a lot of money. Sometimes you're going to give away a free project here or there to try to get your name out there. But I mean, it's business. It's getting your name, getting that reputation, and that will carry you a very far distance. Like I'm very lucky. I have clients here that want projects. There's a couple that are willing to wait until I get settled and then order for me then. Like just having that loyalty because of some of the stuff you've done is absolutely amazing. Can't beat it. So it is worth the overnights and like maybe not making that big of a profit. And like I said, for me, that was experience with the trunk. I mean, it was hardware. It was like, there's a couple different things I would like to do differently, but that thing will last a lifetime, hopefully. You guys got anything else? Anything else happening in the shop? Maybe some topics? I think we did have one question on the Sawdust Nation podcast page.
Did you happen to see the wall sign I did with the scorpion on it?
Yeah.
So that was my old unit up in New Jersey.
Yeah, no, the description was enough said. I was like, oh, he was obviously part of this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, it was good. Well, I like how you cut that out pretty much. Like, it was almost like when you did your tip of the week, you're like, yep, this is what I'm going to do. And then literally it appeared the next day. I was like, oh, would you look at that?
Yeah, yeah.
I did it. Yeah. I wanted it to be not wasted time. You know what I mean? Like, I wanted to have I had the majority of it planned and ready to rock and roll. But I'll tell you what was hard. The hardest part about that was the commander's badge.
Yeah?
That was the hardest part about that plaque or that sign. Yeah.
Why?
So it's mirrored acrylic. It's not the metal. I tried to etch the metal like the metal veneered acrylic, so I could get like fine lines and stuff like that. It wasn't happening, man. Those lines were so close together on that badge that every time I tried it, it was just melting right into each other, and it looked like trash. So I did a light pass from the back side of a piece of mirrored acrylic, and then I just stuck it to the sign, and it worked. So you get the gist of what it is. It's not perfect, but at least the badge isn't perfect. But the rest of the sign, I think, it makes up for it.
I can say certain things that you do, like if it requires like a level of detail, sometimes with a laser, like that one, it takes like a serious level of dialing in. But even sometimes still, like the beam still has a certain width. It doesn't matter like how much power you have or whatever. You're still going to get some kind of.
So that's why when I make these signs, I tell people that it needs to be at least 18 inches tall for a majority of signs. And they're like, well, I only want it like 12 inches. I'm like, well, it's not happening then because I can't cut it out that small. And like if there's a lot of detail in that stuff, because it'll just melt the stuff together. No way.
Yeah.
So I did pull up that question that Ethan sent us on our page. And actually, it's probably a good thing to jump into next week for a tip. Be a continuation of lightburn, but it was actually what I was going to do today until Nick brought out his power issue. Is how to clean up a dirty image. He was asking the question of what is a dirty image and how to basically adjust it in lightburn. And that's go ahead.
You let me share my screen. I'll show you what a dirty image is.
We can see the reflection actually in the back. But if you guys are good with it, we can go ahead and hit on that next week. And that way we can – I'm sorry, man. I read your question, and I must have been in the back of my mind because I had it all pulled up ready to go. But I thought it was more relevant to go ahead and hit on, starting a job in the middle. So
part of that question too is we can actually show like the different varieties of images that we would receive and how that works. I can hit that tip next week if you want.
Yeah, that's fine.
I've had my fair share, and I'm sure Nick has too. But I technically should have done the tip tonight, and I'm busy. I forgot.
That's why there's three of us bounce it back and forth and help each other out, right?
Yes.
Hey, can I steal those moving boxes?
Yeah, dude, just come on over to North Dakota. You can have. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, I have a tip for you. Can we show you?
This is not the right channel. That's Sawdust Nation After Dark. I swear to God. Okay. I'm saying.
So
I thought there was going to be something obscure.
Yeah, baby.
I'm making. So for those of you watching on here, say you want to make a sign or you want to make a nameplate or anything that you want to have centered inside of a box. So first off, let's just assume that the box is, I'm using the wrong keyboard. Sorry, it's the wrong computer. The box is 12 inches wide by 12 inches tall. All right. Now, you're going to take and drag over the piece, and then I would go back up there and try and type and paste it in there. But the problem is I would always forget if it's an odd number or something like that or like a decimal. I would always forget the second one. Never fail. So I'd have to go back, and it's just a waste of time. So the little things will save you time. That's my tip. Just the tip today.
Thank you, Nick, for just the tip.
No problem. Hopefully you can use that.
We'd like to give you more, but we got to save it for...
They just got a whole bunch of tips. Nap, want to take us out with your final words?
Hey, my final words are always positive. Let's go with something negative. I'm joking. No, hey, just keep helping each other out, folks, and hopefully these tips of the week are helping you all out because this is one way for us to maybe get some information across that is easier to access than maybe sometimes us. So if you're listening to the podcast, and I know this is a relatively new thing, But right now the theme is lightburn, and if you have lightburn tips and tricks you want to hear from us, go ahead and hit us in the DMs or at our Gmail account, sawdustnationpodcast@gmail.com, and ask us, because we probably know the answer, and if we don't know the answer, we'll figure it out, and we'll go ahead and show you all what's up on here if you're a patron, and then on the Instagram page, so we can keep passing on that information and that knowledge. Nick, final word.
Well, like always, take care of yourselves and each other. And even though I'm always busting these guys' balls and breaking their chops on here, I absolutely have the utmost amount of respect for both Nap and Josh. And I'm playing.
Why? So many attacks, man. It's been week after week. Just get attacked.
So I'm just in the mood to just break balls today. I don't know. But anyway, take care of yourselves and each other. And until next.
Sam is appreciative of receiving 2 tips in one night.
Yeah, right here.
So thank you for joining us for the 153rd episode. As always, we appreciate you tuning in and listening to us give you tips and tricks and basically lessons learned in the shop and how not to's and how to's. With that, get in the shop, go make some sawdust, and Sawdust Nation Podcast out.
Dude, by the way, okay, I don't know if you know this, okay? So for the longest time, these stupid pencils right here, these freaking carpenter pencils, okay? I always use a knife to sharpen them, okay? There is a freaking pencil sharpener for these, and I found it, and I was like, no way. Like, what's that guy? He goes, no way. And then so I went and did it, and I was like, get the f out of here.